Good morning, grade sevens. Welcome to your daily mathematics lesson with WorksheetCloud.com. Hope you guys are well. Just a reminder of the email address you can see on your screen, grade7@WorksheetCloud.com. Please send me any questions that you may have regarding any mathematics work that you'd like to ask me about. Guys, today we're carrying on with percentages. It's the last lesson on percentages. And this is just about increasing and decreasing percentages or bar percentages, so similar to yesterday. But yeah, give it a listen. Remember that you can stop at any time, rewind, make sure that you're clear on all the explanations. And yeah, there are a couple of examples for you to work through, and I'd encourage you to do so and then try and learn from that work that you do. So that's our schedule for today. Our usual warm-ups and mental questions based on previous topics, and then a couple of challenges for you to end off on. Okay, so there is your warm-up for today. You need to find the value of each flag, and then don't forget to find the value of the question mark at the end of the challenge. Right, good luck. Okay guys, well done for working through that. So I'm just going to work through it on my Jamboard, and let's see how you guys got along. Okay, so I'm going to start on this line over here. Okay, and we know that 1 is equal to 5 minus 4. Okay, all right, then I'm going to go to just above that, and I know that 5 multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. So unfortunately the Swedish flag is worth 0. Now I'm just going to fill in things where I can. We know that is going to be 5 plus 1. And we also know that here on this line we've got add 0 and add 0 again. Okay, and then we've got an equal sign. Okay, so looking at the second line, or the second line of flags, then I must know that the American flag and the Brazilian flag must be equal, because Sweden is 0, so 3 has got to be equal to 3. Okay, and now I can fill in the top where it says 3 plus 3. Okay, so 6 is equal to 6 at the top, and now I'm just left with the bottom line. I know the American flag is 3. I know the Brazilian flag is 3. I know that that's either the Australian or the New Zealand flag, and that's going to be 5 and multiplied by another 5. Now remember that you can do a multiplication sum in any order, so whichever order you prefer. So you can go 3 times 3 is 9, times 5 is 45, times another 5 is 225. Or you could say 3 times 5 is 15, times 3 is 45, times another 5 is 225. So you can play around with the numbers in a multiplication question and do them in an order that suits you. Okay? Right, well done if you work through that. Okay. Your mental questions for today are subtract half of 4 Rand 36 from 5 Rand. So make sure you read the question carefully there. Then a multiplication of a whole number and a fraction. Then a little bit of a problem where you need to work out how far you walk in 40 minutes when you walk 6 kilometers per hour. Subtraction of a whole number and a fraction. And then multiplication of a whole number by a decimal. All right, let's see what you can remember from previous topics. Okay, guys, let's have a look at those. So my first question, I needed to subtract half of 4 Rand 36. So half of 4 Rand 36 is going to be 2 Rand 18. And it's 5 Rand minus the 2 Rand 18. Okay. So you can do that in a column method if you would like. All right, and then you need to recognize that you have to borrow. Okay, 10 minus the 8 is 2. 9 minus the 1 is 8. Decimal in the same place. Okay, that's really important. 4 minus 2 is 2. Perhaps you could recognize that 5 Rand minus 2 Rand 18 is 2 Rand 82 immediately, and that's also fine. My next question was to multiply 50, which is a whole number, by 1 and 4 over 5, which is a fraction. Okay, so what I would have done here is I would have said 50 over 1. Okay, I would have converted 1 and 4 over 5 to an improper fraction, which is 9 over 5. Okay, I could have done 50 multiplied by 9, which is 450. Okay, and then 1 multiplied by 5 is 5. Okay, and then I would have gone 450 divided by 5, which equals 90. Okay, so there's your answer. Alternatively, what we could have done is we could have said 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 50 10 times, and now I'm left with 10 times 9 as my numerator, and that gives me 90, and 1 times 1 as my denominator, which gives me 1, and 90 over 1 is equal to the same amount. So just remember, when we simplify the question diagonally, it's going to help us avoid the simplification process at the end. But again, either process is correct. Okay, then your third question was how far can I walk in 40 minutes if I'm walking 6 kilometers per hour? Okay, so for me personally, I like to change the 6 kilometers per hour into 6,000 meters. Okay, and I'm just going to put there in 60 minutes. All right, then I'm going to go work out how far can I walk in 10 minutes. Okay, and to get from that 60 to that 10, I divide by 6. So if I divide 6,000 by 6, I'm going to get 1,000. And now that I know I can walk 1,000 meters in 10 minutes, to get to 40 minutes, it's just to multiply by 4, and that's 4,000 meters. Okay? Yeah, that's how I would do that. You can convert the 4,000 meters back to 4 kilometers if you would like to, if the question said so. Okay, question 4, subtraction of a fraction from a whole number. Okay, and again, I'm going to say there are two options here. The first one, I'm going to say 14 over 1 minus 5 3/4, which is 23 over 4. My lowest common denominator is 4. 1 goes into 4 4 times. 4 times 28 is 4 times 14, is 56. Okay, so to work that out quickly, I went 14 times 2 is 28. 28 times 2 is 56. And then subtract your 23, and that will leave you with 33 over 4. And if you wanted to change that back into a mixed number, that's going to be 8 1/4. Okay, so how can I check this? If I add 8 1/4 to 5 3/4, I need to get 14. Okay, so if I add 5 3/4, okay, I should be able to recognize that 8 and 5 is equal to 13, and then the 1/4 and 3/4 gives me my other whole, which ends up as the 14. Okay, if you had recognized at the beginning that 14 minus the 5 is 9, and then the 9 take away the 3/4 leaves you with 8 1/4, then guys, that's also absolutely fine. Okay, and then your last question in your mental maths for today was 200, a whole number, so a multiple of 10, and that is multiplied by 0,018. So remember, when we said we were multiplying decimals, we would first try and get rid of the decimal. So 200 times 0,018. I'm going to split the 200 into 100 times 0,018, and that's going to give me 1,8. Okay, so remember, my number with the decimal in it increases by 2 place values because of the 2 place values of 10 in the 100. So 10 times 10 is 100, so it moves 2 places. So that becomes 1.8, and then all I need to do is multiply it by 2, okay, and that's going to give me 3.6. Okay, I hope you guys remembered those principles from the previous lesson. Right, today's main part of the lesson is percentage increase. So yesterday we looked at profit and loss, and we looked at if something had increased or reduced by a certain amount, how would we work that out in a percentage. Today we're given the percentage and we need to work out how much that percentage is worth. So the example on the screen, the value of Frank's house has gone up by 20% in 3 years. If the house was worth 150,000 Rand 3 years ago, how much is it worth now? Okay, so 2 methods that we can use to work this out. I'm going to show you method 1. We can work out 20% of 150 and then add that to the original amount. All right, so we should know immediately that to work out 20% of 150, we can either say 20 over 100 times 150 over 1 and then go work that out, or find out 10%. So 10% of 150,000 is 150,000 divided by 10, which is 15,000. So therefore 20% is 30,000. Okay, so if I work that out, and I need to take that 30,000 and put it on top or add it to the 150,000, and then that gives me 180,000. So the value of his house now is 180,000. Okay, so here are some examples. Here's an example that I'd like you to try by yourself. Give it a shot. We're going to work through 4 examples here. Go give this a shot and then we'll come back and see how you did. All right, let's see how you guys did in that one. So if you've got 50 Rand pocket money a week and your parents come to you and say, hey, we're going to increase that 50 Rand pocket money a week by 60%. Now you need to work out how much am I going to get. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work out 10% of the 50 Rand is equal to 5 Rand. Okay, so I now know that 60% is going to be 30 Rand. Okay, so the increase is 30 Rand, but now my new amount is going to be the 50 Rand plus the 30 Rand, and now my parents are going to give me 80 Rand pocket money a week. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one for you on the screen is to increase 86 Rand by 17.5%. Now I know that we haven't done 0.5% of an amount. However, I'm going to challenge you guys here to figure out how would you work out 0.5%. And I'll give you a clue. If I can work out 10% by dividing by 10, then I can work out 1%. Okay, and if I can work out 1%, how are you going to work out the 0.5%? Right, let's see if you can figure that one out. Okay, so let's have a look. So the first thing I'm going to do, as always, is I'm going to work out 10%. 10% of 86 is equal to 8 Rand 60. All right, so then 5% must be equal to 4 Rand 30. Okay, so at the moment, I've got 15%, my 10% and my 5%. Okay, now if I know 5%, I can work out 2.5%, because all I need to do is halve it, and that's 2 Rand 15. Okay, and now it's just a case of, let me just move that out the way. Now it's just a case of me adding up those amounts. And that's 15 Rand and 5 cents. So 17.5% of 86 Rand is 15 Rand and 5 cents. Now I need to add that 15 Rand and 5 cents to 86. Okay, and you can see I'm going to get 101 Rand and 5 cents. So perhaps you didn't recognize the 2.5% was half of the 5%, like I've just shown you. And maybe you went and worked it out a different way. So you could have also worked out 10% is equal to 8 Rand 60. But now maybe you went and you worked out 1%, and 1% is equal to 86 cents. Okay? Therefore, 2% is going to equal 86 times 2, which is 1 Rand 72. If 1% is 86%, then 0.5% is going to be half of that, so 43 cents. Okay, and now to get my 2.5%, I just need to add these two amounts up. Okay, and if you add those up, you're going to get 2 Rand 15. Okay, now if I add 2 Rand 15 to 8 Rand 60, I'll have my 12.5%. I know that if 10% is 8 Rand 60, my remaining 5% is 4 Rand 30. Okay, if you add all of those values up, okay, there it comes, it's a bit late. If I add all of those values up, 8, 4, 12, and 2 is 14, and then if I add the cents up, I'm going to get another 1 Rand 5, so it's 5 Rand, 15 Rand, and 5 cents, exactly the same as it was before. I then add the 15 Rand and 5 cents onto the 86, and I get my 101 Rand and 5 cents. Okay, so you can use both methods, but I encourage you to have a look at the percentage and see if you can go 10%, 5%, 2.5%, because all I'm doing there is I'm working out 10% and then just halving. Okay, right. One, to increase 24 Rand by 35%. So here I'm going to work out a different method, okay, and I'm going to use fractions. So I'm looking for 35% of 24, so we can say 24 over 1 times 35 over 100, okay, which is 35% of 24, and then you can go work this out. You can either multiply the numerators together and then multiply the denominators together and try work out that fraction. But I'm hoping that you can see that it's already going to be a little bit more tricky than if I did the alternative method. Okay, so my alternative method, 10% is equal to 2 Rand 40. Okay, therefore 5% is equal to 1 Rand 20. And if I know 10%, I can work out 30%. Because I just multiply by 3, and 2 Rand 40 multiplied by 3 is 7 Rand 20. Okay, and now it's just a case of adding the 30% together and the 5% together to get my 35%. Okay, and if I add those together, I'm going to get, just give me a second, I'm going to get 8 Rand 40. But now I need to add that 8 Rand 40 onto 24. And that's going to give me 32 Rand 40. Okay. So I'm going to show you the fraction way quickly. I do think that the fraction way that I had originally is a little bit more tricky because the calculations you need to do are a little bit bigger. So we would have 24 over 1 times 35 over 100. You should know that 35 over 100 can be simplified into 7/20ths. Okay, both numbers can be divided by 5. All right. If you do your multiplication, simplification diagonally, you know that 2 goes into 20 10 times. 2 goes into 24 12 times. I can go further. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 2 goes into 12 6 times. Okay, and now I've got 6 times 7 equals 42 over 5. Okay, and if you worked out 42 divided by 5, you would get 8. Remainder 2 over 5. Okay, you know that 2 over 5 is equivalent to 0,4. Okay, so that's going to give me 8,4. And because it's money, we need 2 numbers after the decimal. And there is my 35% of 24. So it's the same. I just now need to add it to 24. And I get 32 Rand 40. So there's quite a lot more involved when you deal with the fractions. But again, the choice is entirely yours. Okay, go work out the last one. There's a 0.5% there. Let's see if you can remember how I worked out the 0.5%. And let's see how you get on. So your last one for today is increase £300 by 2.5%. Okay, don't worry if it's pounds or rands. It's all the same kind of thing. Some of your homework today is in dollars. Don't panic about the money sign. You work it out the exact same way. Okay, so if I worked out 10% of 300 first equals 30. So 5% equals 15. So 2.5% equals 7 Rand 50. Okay. And now all I need to do is add that 7 Rand 50 onto 300. And I get 307 Rand and 50 cents. Okay, so a nice easy way for you to work out those amounts. If you had gone 10% is 30, 1% is 3, then taken the 1% and doubled it to 2, sorry, that would have been 6, and then you would have worked out that 0.5% would have been 1 Rand 50. Put them all together, you would have got the same 7 Rand 50. Okay, so if I go back to the presentation, there are all the answers there for you. So if you want to rewind and go through them again, you can see that I've worked out what 60% of 50 is 30, and then remember I need to add that 30 to the 50 to get 80, and the same thing applies for all the other examples. Okay guys, then obviously there's opposite of percentage increase is percentage decrease, and you work this out exactly the same way, except now you subtract. Okay, so you still work out for this example, a CD Walkman originally costing 75 Rand is reduced by 30% in a sale. I'd be highly surprised if you guys knew what a Walkman was. You guys are using iPods and stuff, so a Walkman in the old day was where you actually put a CD into a machine and then you had your big headphones and you walked around carrying this massive CD player on your hip. Your parents will know about it. But yeah, if you wanted to reduce 75 Rand by 30%, again, I would work out 10% is 7 Rand 50, 20% is 15 Rand, so 30% is 22 Rand 50. And then I need to subtract that off the original price, and that gives me 52 Rand 50. Okay? And then there's a couple of examples for you to work through. I'm not going to go through them with you on the Jamboard. It's just going to make the lesson that much too long. But I encourage you to actually try and work these out for yourself and see if you can get the answers that I've shared with you on the screen. Okay? Right, guys. All that's left for today, or second last thing, is your finisher. So off you go and check that out, and let's see if you guys can get the answer. Okay, so as usual, I'm filling in the numbers that are there already. And while I'm filling in the numbers, I'm already thinking about how we can get the answers that are in pink. Okay, right, let's have a look. So the first thing I'm going to say is, how do I get 18 by multiplying 9? And that's 2 times 9 is 18. Okay, so nice easy start. So 2 times 8 is 16. Then I'm going to say what multiplied by 8 is going to give me this 96, and I know it's 12 times 8 is 96. Okay, and then I'm going to say what's 12 times 9, and 12 times 9 is 108. Okay, now I need to think what multiplied by 9 gives me the 27, and that's going to be 3. Okay, so 3 times 9 is 27. I also know that 3 times 8 is 24. Now I've just got to look at the pictures because I can see that the saxophones are in 2 different columns. So I can repeat this 24 here. Okay. And I can't see anything else that's repeated. I can. So the accordion is 12. Okay, so the accordions are the same. And now just a case of filling in the missing squares. 12 times 12 is 144. And 3 times 12 is 36. Okay, cool. Well done for working through that. And then, guys, just your last finisher of the day is 24. So a reminder that there are 3 separate cards there. First card, the numbers are 2, 7, 8, and 1. So can you use the numbers 2, 7, 8, and 1 and any of the operation signs, so add, subtract, multiply, divide. You can use a combination, or you can use one of them or 2 of them, or you can decide and try make a sum that's going to equal 24. That's the first part of the challenge. The second part of the challenge is how many different ways can you come up with the answer of 24. Right, guys, so that's all we have time for today. I hope you learned something. Please go back and have a watch again to see if you need a little bit more clarification. Send me an email on grade7@worksheetcloud.com. Don't forget the additional activities that you can access on worksheetcloud.com along with a memo to do a little bit of additional practice. All the best for today. Keep safe and catch you guys later. Cheers.